So by the weekend, plug in through.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, we might get snow for Saturday.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
All right, we are 6:30 here on Thursday, December 11th, and with that, I will call to order the City of Orinoco Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for this evening. With that, next on our agenda for the evening is roll call. So I am Kathy Brandt Rucker, Chair. Commissioner Wendy Phillips, we know would be absent. Commissioner Jim Richards.
Here.
Commissioner Jim Phillips, we know would be absent. Commissioner Scott Sorensen.
Here.
Commissioner Colleen Fry.
Here.
Commissioner John Evans. All right, so we do have 4 of us here this evening, so we have a quorum for the evening. Staff, Bill Carlson. He's there.
Yes, I'm here on Zoom.
Right. Staff, Joe Palin. And staff, Jason Baker. All right. Next up is approval of the agenda for this evening. So we do have 1 public hearing here for this evening. I know we did get at the last minute here some information on potential ordinance for cannabis and hemp. And Phil, have you seen the cannabis and hemp information as well or not yet?
No, I have not.
Okay, we just literally received it hot off the press here today, so. But I think maybe we'll just put that under new business for now, letter D. But with that, I don't believe anyone here has probably had a chance to read through any of the cannabis ordinance information, so.
I can't get out of her packet. Allow me on.
So any other changes other than I did add that as letter D for new business? Okay, with that, I would ask if I could have a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion. Second.
We've got first here from Scott, second. We've got from Jim. All in favor of the agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
That was me.
Okay, all ayes. Any opposed? Okay, our agenda is set for the evening. Approval of the minutes from the prior meeting. It's next on the agenda. And with that. Sorry, lots of paper here this evening.
Remember seeing.
Yeah, we do not
I
have,
just have gone through them right now, so I don't
Yeah.
think we have minutes.
I don't know that we have minutes from the last meeting. I do know with the change in staffing, Jason had suggested that we may want to look at reappointing a secretary to do that. I know we had worked with city council previously to have staff time, or even we had talked about just a temp or somebody to help with some of the zoning type stuff. And that had been approved previously by council.
Yeah.
So maybe we send that back and see what council would prefer we do there.
Yeah, because Mary was the admin assistant. We approved extra hours.
Specifically on
for
that
her,
FTE.
Specifically for this.
So as you go back to refill FTE, maybe that becomes a discussion question.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I know that had previously been there is zoning administrator was part of the FTE time too. So some thoughts there maybe, but we'll not approve any minutes on for this meeting. We will push any of that to next month's meeting.
I say that we table them.
I would take that.
I move that we table the approval of minutes.
Second.
So we've got a motion to table to next month, the approval of the minutes. Colleen, And then we've got that seconded over here by Jim. All in favor of tabling minutes to next month? Aye. Any opposed, say sign. And so we will table that to next month. With that, next on the agenda is our public hearing, and it is scheduled for 6:35, and we are at 6:35. So with that, I will open the public hearing at 6:35 PM. This public hearing is for the lot split and variance posted for 6:35 PM for 51 Minnesota Avenue South. And with that, I will ask if there is anyone that would like to speak for or against the application for 51 Minnesota Avenue South, the lot split and variance.
Say so.
And if you want to just give us your name and address for the record?
All right, my name's Irv D. Blemick. 51 Minnesota Avenue South and 30 Minnesota Avenue South.
Thanks.
I guess the way that I look at this, I think it's a win for the city and myself to be able to split this. I don't want to personally put a business on there, but I think it's a great spot for a business. Somebody should do something with it. And it has been pointed out by Phil and Joe that that lot size that I'm requesting is similar to a lot of the historical lots in Orinoco and downtown B1. So, you know, and I built my new building on top on the back lot. And the reason I picked that was because the sewer and water connections got switched for those two lots. It was determined at the beginning that it was gonna come along Minnesota Avenue. And it was changed because of the fiber optics and all the rock that's in the front. So that's one of the reasons that I rebuilt on the back lot where the old barn was. I thought it would fit in better back there. But somebody should really do something with that front lot. And I guess that's my reasoning for doing this lot split. And there is some interest in it. There is some people that are interested in putting a small business there. So I guess I'll wait for you guys to make a decision on it. I just want to clarify it before I can do anything else.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Irv, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I thought I read that it is stubbed in for water and sewer, that.
Well,
front.
my top lot is, but it hasn't been ran or anything yet to the new building because of
But the
the,
bottom lot is not
no,
stubbed in?
no, it isn't. I would have to have an easement or it has to get over there to that front lot, that east lot. And then the city would have the sewer and water assessment to it.
Okay, all right.
So, yeah, so I mean, for the city, it's more income and it's another sewer water connection and tax base
Right.
for a small business. And I think basically it would be rebuilding a business area that used to be there in the early 1900s. So, you know, and the lot size, that's what they were back then. And I don't think it's setting any precedents for any other zone because this is determined to be B1 historical. And so all the other lots would be the same. They would be able to do the same thing. You know,
Yeah.
I just think that
I was just,
the vision of Orinoco is seems to be small businesses along Minnesota Avenue,
Yep.
downtown.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was just wondering about potential to connect to water and sewer.
yeah, I think it would be, it would fit in with the aesthetics of
Yeah.
of the historical district and, you know, like the old bird store could be remodeled and somebody could do something with that. And just go right, you know, lot to lot, I mean. It could be brought back to somewhat what it was.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other? You would just state your name and address.
Paul Pendergrass, 105 Minnesota Avenue North. I just want to speak in favor of Irv's request. I think he was just put up a lot of baloney over the last year or so, trying to get his building put up. You know, it's not necessarily here that he seems to be attracting a lot of friction that I see in some of the in the book here, in the packet for tonight, there's a little discussion about the shoreland ordinance. It is somehow impacting the shoreland ordinance. And the shoreland ordinance, the original intention of that is for issues of sewer septics, individual septics too close to the river. I think where he's at, with the park in between the impervious surface and the parking lot down below and the wall and the trees up above it. I guess I don't really see how how he's really gonna be impacting the shoreland ordinance, but one of my biggest concerns about that ordinance is it wasn't an issue when you put a building on the top side. It was never brought to anybody's attention. Now it's come to the attention because it's wanting to split the lot. I understand it's a smaller lot than normal, but it was when they originally platted downtown, it was all set up with a smaller lot structure. And I'm guessing the only reason it was ever combined to start with was the same person owning both lots. And the county just kind of draws a line between them and makes one lot out of them over the years. They did a lot of things with that type of stuff at the county level, but I just think it should be done without any conditional use permits. Let them split it. It'd be a done deal. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any, excuse me, is there anyone else that would like to speak for or against the application? State your name and address,
Dan
please.
Tronson, I'm 25 Minnesota Avenue. I have the building right next to Irv. I just have some questions, so I don't want to see Irv spend money and try to split lots and do things. They don't work. State statute says sewer and water has to run on public easement. That's state statute. So to bring water or sewer down to that bottom lot, you'll have to dig the road and come all the way around the corner. However you do it, it's got to be on public easement. It can't be on private easement. And that's state statute.
You're saying the water and sewer has to be,
The water and sewer, so if they bring water and sewer down to that lot, Irv just told me tonight the Santec says something, and I dealt with another individual in another town, the Santec. They tried to come across her private property and get her to sign off and do all that. And I wrote a thing and went to the state statute, showed them the state statute to the city council. That they ended up going down and digging the road up and spending the money to take the sewer and down the road where it belongs. So that's a thing. I see no picture of the smaller lot, how you divide it. In other words, easement off the road, how big of a building you could put on that with the, I got no drawings or anything. I'll say, okay, why don't you split that lot up? What size of building could you put on there with the green space, and how are they gonna come in and off the road? There's only one way they can come off, is off the First Avenue into that property. And you have easement setbacks. So I don't want Irv to go out and, his property, I'm not trying to stop him doing anything else, but I want everything to be aware that when you go from the road setback from where the road is, we're back the wall back, that far back off that property, and then you come in from the side, there's a setback from the side where the property line is. It makes that, the lots were laid out parallel to the road. Not this way, and so when you divide it this way, it makes a difference, and I don't wanna see Irv go to all the trouble of spending the money to go to the county and split the lot and do everything he needs to do is spend it and find out that you can't get sewer or water to it, or you can't get everything else, and you spend all this money for nothing. I have no problem with what he's trying to do, but I just want to be more clarified that does the city know that you have to statute that you would have to run that, continue that sewer down around the corner? And the hookup has to be either from the street side, from Minnesota Avenue, or First Avenue. It can't run across private property.
Good to note your comments on that. Yeah, I am not aware one way or the other on that
Okay, well,
statute.
I'm just letting everybody know that you gotta look at, because I don't want someone to buy the lot and say, no, I wanna continue the sewer line from where it is up top of the hill, and they say, well, you can't do that. And they bought a piece of property, or splits a piece of property, and the water and the sewer can't cross it.
Yeah, that I would have to
Well-
check with Stan Tech, and so thank you for that.
You know, to do that, and like I said, I got no picture of to see what kind of a, just how, what kind of a building you could, with the setbacks, what kind of a building you could put on that property. And still have your, percentage like they made me do. You had green space. When I put mine, they were very strict on that. I had to have all the green space for my building, or my building would have been bigger than everything else and stuff, so. I have no ill will towards Irv doing this or anything else, but I just want to bring that all forward is the access and just what could you put on that piece of property as far as the business and parking.
I have a question for you, Jan. Speaking of that, is there water and sewer on, what is that, behind?
Well,
It's gravel.
It was platted First Street when I
Yeah.
bought it. So First Street is, and they tell me it's not. And I go back and I take a look at a picture back there, back in the 1800s, and the road's there.
Yeah.
So how the road isn't, they say it's not a road, is beyond me. As a kid, I've always seen the road. But anyway,
But water and sewer is on that.
water and sewer is right on our property line, and water and sewer to his building, for his building up there. But how you get it to the bottom lots is a whole nother story. And I think you said, Irv, to me that the reason they put the water up there, because they wanted a loop system.
Well,
Because the dead ends of the sewer and the water dead ends up at us. And so the question is, how are you gonna pump that sewer up the hill in the lower lot?
Lift station, probably.
Well, I mean, you got that, I'm just saying is,
Grinder pump.
well,
Ours is.
but then again, it has to come across private property and easements and everything else when you sell. I'm just telling you, the statute says it has to be on public easement. That way, no one ever has any trouble, whatever, that, well, I'm cutting your sewer off, you can't dig the sewer up, you can't dig the water line up, because it is on public easement. And they have the right to go in there with their backhoe and dig stuff up, and that's why all the cities have their stuff in public easement.
I will tell you, Jan, just as a point of reference, I know up on West Center, there's utilities that run from West Center down to First through people's property.
Well, again, if you
Well, I'm
want,
just saying,
again, if people
there is.
don't, there's this gal down in Lanesboro, whatever the little town past that, it was my neighbor's sister, and they were coming, and Santec was part of that problem, and they said that we're gonna come and we're going to dig up your property, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and because their line is plugged, and we're gonna dig your property up, and you're gonna let us do that. I said, no, they don't have to let you do that, it was run wrong. They ended up going and digging the street up and putting in the sewer line in its proper place. So that you would never have that issue of someone saying, well, you can't dig my property because your sewer line runs across my thing. So if they did something that way and someone has an issue later on, good luck. But I'm just telling you what state statute says.
I appreciate it.
No, appreciate it.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak for or against? Irv, yes?
well, I was at one of the other meetings last month about, the property on, West Center that was being split. And in that meeting, it was, the city has the, right of way on all sides of the property for utilities. So,
They
this is
don't, they don't. That's what was suggested. That,
10-foot right of way.
yeah, there's a 10-foot right of way
And
from
that-
First up to West
And
Center.
as they do future developments, that, my understanding is that's common practice as you put in new developments, that you have these easements. But
Yeah.
on older land that has more historic background,
You know,
you don't necessarily have those already built into the deed.
right. And, according to what my research with the surrounding communities are, there is no restrictions on setbacks or easements or right of ways in the towns that are around us. But this hasn't never been put in place here in Orinoco. But, the way I'm seeing this is something that is to be determined. This has really nothing to do with the lot split. This has to do with the person who buys the property, how they're gonna go about developing.
That's,
So, you know, that's to be determined how the water and sewer can be hooked up.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the only point I really wanted to make about that,
thank you.
you know.
Thanks.
I know we've heard from 3 folks so far. I know we've got just a couple more. Want to make sure if either of you in the room here have any comments you want to make for or against the application. Is there anyone, and I'll just say, I do have to say this a couple times here, just, is there anyone present who would like to speak for or against the application?
Make another comment, Kathy?
And we are talking about the lot split.
Yep.
And variance.
You know, and I understand Jan's concerns about setbacks and stuff like that. And it is B1. I'm not so certain when Orinoco changed it. But generally, in a B1 setting, is what they call 0 lot lines. That's where you have the older buildings along Minnesota Avenue. They're right out at the lot. It wouldn't be unusual for Irv's property to be right at the lot line. There's plenty of street parking for whatever would be there. So as far as setbacks go, it's not like, and we also have setbacks for our corners and stuff. We're talking about that already exist in our corner setbacks and side yard, stuff like that. But I really think we need to consider trying to keep that the historic district. We have to keep it historic or get rid of the historic designation.
Thank you. So I believe I'll just say one more. Is there anyone who has not spoken yet who would like to speak for or against?
Again, is that when I built my property, what you just said, that there was no setbacks, they made me set mine on the north side back off the property line. There were setbacks put in place when I built mine back in 2012
And
from doing that. So just to say there are setbacks, there were setbacks, because I had to bring my drawing plan in and they had to approve my plan with the setbacks and where I could place my building and how I could place my building.
and there are setbacks, and that
Okay,
is
well, I
true.
just- And
So if the lot does get split, whoever
I
would be the future owner would have to follow the ordinance as
okay,
it
well,
is.
I was just hearing that there's no 0 setbacks and that's why the problem in Orinoco, that when they step out of the VFW, they're in the road right away.
Yep.
And the
So-
buildings, when they step out, and that's gotta change. You can't continue going down that path.
Yeah, so
1900.
with the lot, just to clarify, anything, and if it is to split or not split, setbacks, if there are any on the books, still have to be followed. So that's not a change in what we have today. But with that, I know we have said more than 3 times now, if there is anyone here present that would like to speak for or against the application, and we have heard from 3 of the 5 people so far. And with that, I will close the public hearing at this time now, 6:55. As we have no more individuals at this time to speak. With that, Phil, do you have a staff report to go along with this here?
Yes, Madam Chair and Commissioners, my report with today's date, December 12th, outlines the request as you noted. It's a lot split and variances. And the issues have been discussed by those who've spoken already, but let me just summarize it. The lot split is relatively simple. They want to create two lots out of one lot. With the variances come in because the current minimum lot size is 20,000 square feet in the city, and each of these would be something over 8,000 square feet. But as was pointed out, these two new lots would be very similar or even larger than many of the lots in the immediate vicinity in this block and the next block downtown. That is the character and the pattern in downtown Orinoco is the small lots. But what also comes into play is the Shoreland District. And that Shoreland District was put in place back in the 80s. And every city in the state that has a lake or a river has a similar shoreland code that applies and sets larger lot sizes and setbacks on it. And there are several reasons for it. One had to do with septic systems, but another had to do just with the visuals. And it was kind of developed for the the tourist area lakes in northern Minnesota. They didn't want to see lots and lots of cabins around the lake. They wanted to try and limit that somewhat, as well as put the setbacks to have those cabins well back from the lake. Well, that same model ordinance applies in every place, whether it's in the woods in northern Minnesota or whether it's in a city like Orinoco. So it does apply here, and we have to follow it. And with a request like this, then variances are requested, both to the lot size and to the lot width. The setbacks don't come into play here because we're well back from the water line itself. So the setback from the water line really doesn't come into play, but it is the lot size and the lot width. As was pointed out, there's no building that's being proposed right now, no use. So we don't really need to worry about the setbacks at this point. It's just creating this new lot line. But if and when a building is proposed, then those setbacks would be analyzed, and that would be brought into the discussion. There's discussion of the sewer and water. And if this lot is to be served, and it would need to be served since it's potentially available. And in the conditions that we put on this, the second condition is that there be variances in place, reviewed and approved by the city engineer that would serve that second lot, the lower lot on Minnesota Avenue. So they would conform to city standards and to state statute as to what is necessary to get that. We haven't seen exactly where that easement would be or how wide it would be or exactly how the sewer and water would get to that lot. That would be for a later determination, but it would be very important that IRV have those easements drawn up and put in place before he sells the lot to another person. Because then that person would be left holding the bag if there were not the proper easements in place. So we would work with IRV and make sure that those easements do get prepared and recorded on the land. As I said, they would follow city standards and state statute to make sure that it's done right. So the request is to approve the lot split and the variances. And there are conditions that we're suggesting here. One, that the lot split is approved only if the lot size and lot width variances are also approved. And second, that the parcel B, that's the lower lot on Minnesota Avenue, can only be built on if it's served by municipal sewer and water with appropriate easements and that are reviewed and approved by the city engineer and filed. And then also the shoreland permit, shoreland ordinance says that commercial uses within the shoreland district are by conditional use permits. So that proposal, if somebody wants to build there and put a commercial use in, then they would need to also apply for a conditional use permit with the city. Again, that's not standard city zoning. That is the shoreland ordinance that requires that. So that is our recommendation, to approve it with those three conditions. There are also 11 findings of fact. Because variances are permission to break the rules, to go against the rules, the city is not obliged to grant variances. They may if they want to. But if the Planning and Zoning Commission feels they do not want to recommend approval of the variances, then the commission should come up with findings that would address the standards that are in the code, and we quote the code in the report. So with that, the request is fairly simple, but there's a few complicating factors that do come into play here that are noted in the conditions and in the findings. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions for the commission.
So, Phil, the question I have, the shoreline district, is that a state thing or is that a city thing?
It is in the city ordinance, so in an ordinance that the city needs to follow, but it was an ordinance that the state developed, like I say, 40 some years ago. And the legislature required that it be put in place by each city. That way the DNR isn't enforcing the ordinance in 10,000 cities around the state, but each city is responsible for adopting and enforcing this ordinance in their city. So it's a city ordinance. The city has the shoreland overlay district.
Well,
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
you see any problems with somebody putting a small business on that corner lot because of the shoreland?
No. If you approve this lot split with the variances to lot size and lot width, then there shouldn't be a problem as long as it's something kind of typical. Again, they would have to come in for a conditional use permit, so the commission and the city council could put reasonable conditions on that use, but no, there shouldn't be anything unusual that would prevent a typical building from being built on that lot.
So another question I have, Phil, is the shoreland district, I don't remember that being an issue when the original building was, or when Irv built that building that's on there now.
You're right, that was not addressed when that building was there. It was a replacement of an existing building, so he already had a building on that lot.
Okay.
Whereas this would be a new building on a new lot if it's built on.
Good.
So we have two things here. One is our lot split. The other one would be variance to lot size. And the reason we're doing variance to lot size is because we're still sitting at 20,000 square feet, because it was written back when we had no sewer and you had to dig a well, you had to put in a septic system. Is that correct, Phil? So now.
Yes.
And for some of the numbers that I've heard thrown around some of the other towns, 6,000, 8,000, we're at 20,000. So if you were to split 20, you're sitting at a 10 and 10, or even an 8 and 8, or whatever it might be. I think I had written down here, each would have been over 8,000 square feet if it splits into two.
Right.
It is a reasonable size for city lot, commercial lot that has water and sewer.
Yes, very, very much so.
And we're working on our new zoning, and that's one of the things we're looking at is 20,000, since we have water and sewer, would be a much smaller number than it is today. And just making sure I'm following along that if we were already sitting at a smaller lot size, all we would be here for is a lot split. We would not be here for that 20,000 number.
Right.
Is that correct?
Well, you would still be dealing with it because that 20,000 number is also in the shoreland district.
Yeah,
So it kind
so,
of comes from
yeah.
two directions, yeah.
but well, that's something we're working on tackling now. But as of today, we're still sitting at city code written, assuming nobody has access to city water and sewer for lot sizes.
Right. But just so we're clear, and this may be a fine point, the city's zoning district, the B1 district, as all other zoning districts, has a 20,000 square foot lot size minimum. The shoreland district, which was imposed on the city by the state, that has a 20,000 square foot lot size minimum. That the shoreland district can't be changed without approval from the DNR commissioner. Your other city zoning outside the shoreland district, you can change it. That's the city's responsibility. The shoreland district needs approval from the DNR.
Good to know. And so are there other cities in the state that have shoreland districts?
There are thousands and thousands of them. Yes, every city with a lake and
Has
or
it?
has
And
a
all of them
shoreland.
are sitting at 20,000?
They are all, yes, all of those are based on the same model ordinance that the DNR put out in the 1980s, and they're all at 20,000 square feet.
And so in those other towns, as in this one, to have a lot split, that's where the variance piece comes in. It's not, it's
Yes.
that shoreland piece.
Right.
But our ordinance does allow for us to do that.
Yes, you have the authority as the local municipality to vary from the ordinance. Even though it was an ordinance that was given to the city by the DNR, the authority to act on it and to grant variances to it is the
Does
city's.
rest with this body. Okay.
Right.
So the state directs us to use 20,000, but it gives us the ability still to say it doesn't always fit.
Right.
Okay. Discussion, I'm up here. I mean, we have a couple options. And with the lot split and the variance, I'd have to double check. Do we need to do this as two separate motions?
No, it could be one motion to approve the lot split with the variances because they're tied together. You really
Yeah,
couldn't
they're
have
really
one
tied together.
Yeah, one
one
can't go
without the other. Yeah.
Cindy,
I thought Phil's explanation in what he'd written and now is good.
Yeah. Yep.
Makes sense to me.
Yep.
so one is we can approve or deny the lot split and approve or deny the variance in any combination of those, so.
I move that we approve the lot split with the variance and the conditions. Find them right now.
There were 3 on the bottom of page 5 out of 8, I think it was. Bottom of page 5 of 8 of those packet marks.
The conditions as proposed in the report from our planning consultant. Phil, how about that? How about we just say that?
So I have from Colleen here a motion to approve the lot split and approve the variances with the additional conditions as written in staff report. I'm looking at page 5 of 8 on the bottom. The condition for approval of lot split and variances, and I'll just read these 3 quick so everybody's got them. 1, the first condition would be the lot split is only approved if the variances to lot size and lot width are also approved by the city. 2, parcel B may only be built on it if it is served by municipal sewer and water with appropriate easements for provision of said utilities with plans and easements reviewed and approved by the city engineer and easements properly filed with Olmsted County. And the last was condition 3, parcel B may only be built on if a conditional use permit is applied for and approved by the city as required by the shoreland ordinance. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
You've got a second. Any more discussion? I will call the vote then. All in approval of the motion that's been proposed and seconded, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? So what this is a recommendation for approval of both the lot split and the variances associated here. This will go to city council with the recommendation that we have approved it. And so they will vote at the next. Yes,
And Madam Chair and Commissioners, I talked with Jason Baker this afternoon, and this will go to the January council meeting. There isn't time to turn this around by tomorrow noon to get it on next week's city council agenda. So it will go to the following meeting in January.
thank you, Phil.
Phil, do I work with you or Stantec or whatever for the easement part of this?
Well, that would be something that you would talk with your surveyor. And actually, let's get an email and call with Joe Palin, the city engineer, and you and your surveyor, and we'll get this figured out. Yes.
Right. Because Joe did draw up a sketch of that easement.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Yeah, he had an aerial photo where he had sketched it in, and I handed it into the office here. So somebody has that drawing.
Great.
Okay.
I think it was in the package.
Yeah. Okay.
All
All
right.
right,
All right,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next on the agenda for the evening, under new business, we have Mary Nash shed discussion. Mary would like to discuss having an accessory building on her property without a primary structure. Are you Mary?
I'm Mary Nash Smith, and they had complaints, the city did, and they said I had to come before the planning and zoning here. I had last year been served a warrant to tear down the buildings and house and stuff on the property. Well, last year took an addition off the property, sealed it up. Well, they weren't happy. I said, well, I gotta recoup some money because I'm on a fixed income. And so then I got some money and I said, okay, I'll abide by the rules and, you know, you gotta give me time. They served a warrant on me to go in the house, which I complied by, go in. I said, I ain't got a lot of money right now, but I'll get it done. Okay. Well, they never issued the permit, which was applied for by my construction thing to tear the stuff down. Well, I had them there. Well, I can't, they come, Jason Baker and Randy Boltham come there and they were just kind of mean to me. They said they'd give me time to get my stuff out of the house. You know what they gave me? They were there the next day and nailed a thing on the wall of the building. They never gave me time to get my personal stuff out of there. I've lived there since 1976. So my personal stuff just got all destroyed. And I'm in the process right now of, but they applied, I applied, my contractor applied to have the building permit. The building is a 14 by 20 and it's put on skids and it's fastened down. And Randy Boltham said, it's gotta be fastened. It's fastened down. Well, It all started first with a fence in the back. I fixed the fence. I mean, this is just ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. I'm complying with the stuff. I have to have a shed to put the lawnmower and stuff in and pick up the stuff. Well, they never issued the permit to the builder and they said, no, it's gotta go before the planning and zoning to vote on it. Well, I mean, they're just not working with me. And I lost all my personal belongings now because they served the warrant and this and that, and they wouldn't give me the permit.
Did,
For the building.
did anyone say why they wouldn't give
They
you?
just came, oh, well, you gotta go before the city, and I went before the city and I went before the, they said, you gotta go, Randy Bolton said, go before the planning and zoning. And let them vote on it. I was willing to pay them for the permit and everything, and then they said, no, we won't, and this and that.
I'm not familiar with any of this.
Yeah, I would say until I saw
I
this,
I am, but I don't understand. So just so I'm clear,
Yes,
you applied for a permit.
my contractor that tore, yes,
Okay, applied for a permit for the new building. Okay,
and it got turned down.
and, but they didn't give you an explanation why it was turned down?
Well, they said it had to be like on skids, it was on skids, and it was fastened down. I think they said it was a little bit over the limit of the building or size of the building. It's a 14 by 20.
is this something that we could refer to city council, and would you have a chance to look up whatever needs to be looked up for your next meeting? Or have the city pull
Yeah,
whatever copy it
actually.
is, you guys should be able to get.
Do you think it's the same thing that we had with Irv? Technically, Irv
Yeah, I don't
couldn't
know.
rebuild the barn because you're not allowed to have an accessory building without a
Primary
primary use building on there. And Irv was grandfathered in because of the
Fire.
fire.
Right.
So I think, I don't know,
I don't
we're just
know that
speculating
ordinance
what,
so much.
so I think it would have to be pulled to find out what the answer is.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
There was 3 buildings and a house there, and they applied for it and it said no. Well, I went through and spent all this money and that in a place to put my stuff. And then they said, you know, well, it's gotta be fastened down, that it's gotta be on skids, and it is.
So it was a building that was moved in, is what you're saying?
No, it was
It was
built.
built there.
It was built on site. And they said you don't need a permit. Then all of a sudden they come back and said you do. Then you gotta have an existing building. Well, I did. And then they tore the house down. By the time they got back,
Have to look back in the minutes.
and I lost all my stuff because they were fooling around.
I'd have to look back in the minutes.
Jason Baker and
Jason. should
Randy
be right.
Boltham come the right next day and put a sign on the
No
thing.
idea.
Yeah, they would-
Condemns. No entry to the building. And same way they did with the house and all that, no entry, condemned. They were back and forth, and they could have stopped and talked to me, but they won't.
But I will say, I know they tried to contact you. I'm a council member,
Yeah,
and I know they did try contact you and were not successful. So they had to move beyond that. I know there's history there.
and I know that
Um,
I contacted Jason Baker, and he wouldn't answer his phone. I contacted Randy Boltham, he wouldn't answer.
Did you leave a message
Yes.
or anything? And they did not
wouldn't
get
call
back?
back. It was, tried this when Jason Baker was on his honeymoon.
Let me do this.
I don't
I'll
think
take
it's fair
this.
to me.
I'll talk with Jason. Cause I wanna understand why it was denied, and if we talked about it at council, like, I have to go back in the minutes, so I remembered or look at the video. But let me get some more information and we can have Jason bring it to council.
Well,
Do you remember anything, Paul, on
What's
that? Do you remember any of the details on the permit? Cause originally
The permit from-
there wasn't a permit and the building started to be built, correct? Or am I wrong? I'd have to look.
I can't answer you.
I think you gotta go back and check
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah,
I
so
think you're
let
gonna
me
need-
go back and
The builder
look.
said you didn't need one. And then it was going in the works and stuff, and then it was on skids and that, and then it went way
Yeah.
beyond the time there. And I'm sure that, I won't swear, but I'm positive that they applied for the permit and it was turned up.
Yeah, if,
Because I said, with the council, I said, apply by the rules and do the stuff. And then I got holes.
let me look into it. The council can address it. There's not enough time to put it on this agenda. I would say it would have to be on the January agenda if you would like the council to address it and give you information to answer your questions so you understand why it was turned down. I do remember some of the details, and I think it was timing of when it was being built and the building permit. But we don't have to hash it here. Let me get some details. Okay? And it sounds, so you deserve some answers and we'll get them for you. Okay?
I deserve to have a building, to have my stuff in it, storage shed, to have my stuff in it, so it ain't scattered all over outside. They made me tear the other ones down, so I deserve a building. And that was a purpose, and it looks nice.
Okay. I've got some notes here. I'll talk with Jason and get with Randy and we'll get more information.
Yeah, I just had talked with Jason here the other day, and he said, take it before the planning and zoning on December 12th. I said, okay, I'll be there.
Yeah, we have no access to
No.
anything that has happened and
Yeah,
we don't know
don't-
why, if something
Till
was
this showed
denied,
up
why it
on our
was.
agenda, that's all we knew.
You really,
Yeah, because planning and zoning can't dig into it unless it's,
There's an application or,
yeah, unless it's submitted to us and there's nothing in our packet, so.
No. But we
Okay.
appreciate you bringing
Yeah,
it up to our
thank you.
attention so that we can do some more research on that.
This
So,
has been Jason's recommendation to add it to the council meeting in January to just,
Mhm,
needs to be discussed or
yeah,
something needs to be
yeah,
resolved somehow.
yep.
Yep.
We deserve answers.
It sure does sound a lot like mine, like you said. And it took 9 months for me to do something.
yeah,
These are exceptional circumstances too. And just listening, it just looks to me like all she needed to do was get because it was only 4 feet bigger than 200 square feet minimum.
so we need to get
For
some
a
more
shed?
answers.
Yeah.
All she needed was a variance then.
Under 200 feet, you don't need a permit.
Right.
Yep, so that's something they're gonna take a look at. So I've got two things Yep, we'll have two things that we'll end up throwing to the January meeting there for council.
Be a busy night.
Yep. Well, we appreciate that. We do have next on the agenda under new business was building permit report.
Dismissed to your.
You
oh
are,
yeah, you
you
can
can
leave anytime you want.
hang or you
Yeah, you
can,
can stay if you want to.
Yeah, you can
Yes.
stay or you can leave.
It's completely your call.
She's physically, and it's terrible. Jim has a stroke and lost her house, and now they wanna take, screw with her on her shed.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are in what we do in that situation,
Because
it's gonna have to be talked over with the council.
the builder that was going to tear the house and buildings down was building the shed too. So they said, well, maybe the house got tore down before the shed got started. Well, it was kind of yeah, they're working on the, so now they're going back and with some pictures saying the house was tore down first. Well, that's kind of,
Yeah,
the
that
house
one,
was still there when that shed went up. I know that.
and that's something
Yeah,
we don't have
we don't-
answers for you tonight.
We don't have any access to anything that was discussed or what was done or anything. I've never heard of it before until
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah, the council it has to be brought to the floor.
Otherwise I'd build a great big shed.
Well,
Well,
but
I need a shed to put the stuff in. I mean, they're screwing with me. Thank you, guys.
yeah,
you.
thank
Thank
you
you for
for
coming
bringing it
talking
up
to
so
us.
that we
Yeah.
know.
We'll get you some answers.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, have a good Christmas.
You too.
You too.
Thank you.
Next up is building permit report. You got it there?
Well, the way it is in the back, and I'm not able to turn it.
Oh, yeah, mine's,
Yeah, you gotta turn your computer,
oh,
Sideways.
and then it turns on you.
yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
mine too. With that, new construction, replace, install, renovate, or replace, install, so those are all building permits. And the rest were all plumbing permits. And a lot of the plumbing, it looks like, is excavation, water hookups with some of the sewer stuff going on.
Issue.
The bottom one's me.
Any questions at this point? Jason's not here, so I don't have specifics on them.
And the bottom one's me.
Bottom one's you.
Looked in.
Yep. All right. Next, we have city administrator memos. I'll get back to that section there. There's the first memo talked about vacant seats, bylaws and agendas and minutes. And with that, due to our current staffing shortages, we're back to this discussion of minutes that we, alluded to earlier during the agenda when we were talking about minutes. About having, and we did get city staff some FTE approved for that previously. If we want to request that council, are they gonna reallocate or what they're gonna do with the hiring?
Yeah, they're gonna have to, because it was approved.
Yeah,
So whether we get a temp service to do it in the
interim,
I think that would be an option. Because I know the city has hired a temp service to do the city council minutes.
oh, yeah, well, and that was one of
That
the
was
things.
before Renee.
And that was one of the things we had talked about at this very beginning too, is temp service and the percentage of FTE.
Yeah,
Even back when Sunny was here, what percentage of FTE is for zoning support?
right.
So right now we've got three things that we refer to council is the lot split and variance approval, the Mary Nash shed questions, and then the zoning support for, you know, temp services, or we've already had FTE allocated that was to cover that, so. And then we are also supposed to post open seats for various city boards and commission. Jason did say we are already behind in this matter, and he asks that the chair or secretary provide a list of open seats so that we may post them online and accept applications for those positions. So I do believe, Colleen, my seat and your seat would be the next two that would open up, so a general notice of upcoming open seats for all advisory boards shall be posted at City Hall, so we will ask City Hall to post all that.
So how many do we have? So we have
Two.
Colleen,
Colleen,
me as a council member going
and
out.
that will be,
But that would be a
that'll be
council
reappointed from
appointment.
Oh, yeah, that's
council.
right. Yep, that's.
And then mine.
For planning and zoning, you guys are almost done with yours?
Yeah,
Tonight is our official last meeting of our terms, unless we decide to re-up or reapply.
Don't go anywhere.
it's just too many conflicts for me. I'm stepping
It's a lot
down.
of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of reading.
Yeah.
It's a lot of reading.
You put a lot into it.
I do.
Yeah.
I do a lot of reading and a
And we
lot of
appreciate it.
researching and.
Yeah, you do way above and beyond. You guys, yeah, you do a ton.
I would not want it.
So, but with that,
So,
so
yeah.
that was the first memo is,
With that, are you saying that this is your last one? I mean, you're not
Um,
saying that,
it's
right?
my last official one in this term. I'm assuming, I think I would re-up because I would like to see us see it through the implementation and the new code. I'd like to see us up and running and make sure once that's up and running, you know, what's the future of the support gonna be like? Because I have seen couple different models actually. Once the new code is up and running, especially for small towns and townships, one is, do you have city staff that has certifications in zoning, can do the support, can do answering those questions as people walk in and want to apply for a permit, like we saw tonight. You know, understand it. And one of the things this new code hopefully will do is make it much more clear and easier to administer. But it's still complex enough that people get
Yeah.
actual college degrees in zoning.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And so with that, I mean, we're a citizen advisory group. We are, none of us expected to have full-on degrees in planning and zoning, but our city support staff should have some expertise, if not degrees, certainly training provided by League of Minnesota Cities, and they are going to workshops now, whether they're doing, when they go to their workshops, are they specializing in zoning or budgeting or what they're doing? But one model is you have somebody on staff that answers it. Another model is, just like we have some of our engineering and support outsourced today, another model is you take even that frontline interaction and you can outsource that piece. So you might have, if it's one of these top 10 things that people come to the city for, here's your packet of information, and you submit it all to our zoning administrator, and they would be the first call for those questions, and they would also support our city staff as the first call for their zoning questions. I mean, so that's one model, and one thing we could do is, with this code, we can also create an RFP to look at our zoning support, because that's probably a discussion that we need from council and some direction. Are we looking at a model where we're gonna have somebody on staff that understands and can support zoning and answer those questions? Or do they see the future more being one where if we develop this RFP to support that, do they see a model more where we want to have some of that first line support outsourced as well? Because that might help us with the hiring decisions as well.
Right, and I think all these need to be considered and decisions to be made too, definitely.
So,
so you're not, are you,
I'm not, no.
You're tapping out.
You know, when I don't get home until 6:15 from work and then
Oh.
this and then.
so tonight is your last meeting then? Oh,
Mine too.
what?
Yeah.
We're not gonna have enough people to even,
Well,
well, we'll have,
they'll have the council seats filled by the next meeting.
Yep.
Because there'll be new council members in January.
Okay, but neither of you two are gonna be here anymore for planning and zoning, is that what you're saying?
I would
That's what I'm
probably
saying.
show up
No,
next month.
Jim.
Yeah, I'll still show
Oh,
up.
They can still show up and sit in the audience.
Yeah, I
They
can sit in the
still-
audience.
Or he could apply for one of the
Yeah.
positions.
I'm talking planning and zoning here.
Yeah, I could
Yeah, he's
apply
off of
for-
council. He'd no longer be.
Oh, so you're not-
Apply for an
Yeah,
open-
So you
because the
just went
council
here
ones
because
are
you're
filled by,
council?
yeah, the council ones are filled by
Okay.
council.
Yep.
Prior to council, I was on planning and zoning
Oh,
for,
okay,
oh geez, I have to check, 2 years, 3 years.
okay. I wasn't aware that you were here just through council.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
he is here as a council rep and Jim is is here as council rep.
okay.
And
Jim will
so,
stay on.
yep, and we'll have another council rep that will sit on next month's.
I shouldn't say Jim will stay on.
When is
He
my
might
term
not.
up?
I don't have that information.
Okay, what are these, 2 years?
I think, next year, because Wendy was last year. We're all on 3-year
Oh,
appointments,
it's 3. I was
Okay.
thinking it was 2.
3?
3-year appointments.
Oh, I thought Sonny said.
And you were reappointed the year before Wendy, right? Because Wendy was the only one up.
I don't remember at all. It's been a really long time. I don't even know how long it's been.
Seems like a lifetime, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think we'd have to go back through and figure that
I
out. So
think
by
we
the next,
Discussed it, yeah.
yeah,
I remember discussing it.
yeah.
Yeah, I just remember when we only had, like, 5 people for a little while and
Mhm.
meetings were getting canceled,
Yeah,
right and left.
If you don't have enough for quorum, like
Yeah.
tonight,
yeah, and that's why we
Quorum.
expanded.
We have enough,
numbers.
we had a lot of interest with the
I think there
development.
could
Some
definitely be
some of them
interest
can
for
step up.
both.
I think you might have people stepping up that want to.
Yeah,
I think it's a good thing.
I do
think
too.
it's
And
good
we
to
had a lot of
rotate.
people with input, so
Mhm.
I appreciate that. But yes, so I would say that we hold off on putting anybody in as a secretary right now, and I would certainly say we ask council for what we should be doing specifically there. But, and also ask council then to make those postings.
Yeah,
So this would be the first year they were doing that too, because we didn't do that last year.
I don't think they've ever
Wendy's was
done
up
that.
what's that?
Well, done the posting. I think they
Yeah.
put something on the
I don't
website
think-
once.
At the end of, yeah, I don't think
I
we've ever.
I don't think
posted,
we've ever posted,
except when,
not in all the years, yeah, not all the years I remember, yeah, except.
Yeah.
Wendy.
I know when I started, I was just here to get
Yeah.
something done at my property.
Mhm. And then we
And then
hit you up.
like, hey.
Yeah,
You want to do this? Okay.
No. Yeah,
You
and
can't talk unless you sign up for the next 3 years.
that's why I did too, because I came. So I was buying more property
Okay,
and I got interested.
yeah,
And I'm like, okay.
so yeah, I think we'll ask the city to follow what they said that should be done according to ordinance and to Jason on that one. All right. Cannabis, we did get some ordinances there, some sample. Council needs to, it sounds like, take some action on that before,
This came after the fact, right?
yeah, yeah.
And I think we leave this for next one and not even have to discuss it, right?
We have a draft copy. It said, so the memo says, just so everybody has it. Madam Chair and Commissioners, at this time, the city administration is working with the city attorneys to draft ordinances specific to cannabis management within the city of Orinoco. These ordinances are being drafted to help the city regulate the location of any potential future businesses that may sell various types of cannabis or hemp-related products as is allowed by Minnesota state law. It was discussed at the November city council meeting and will be presented to city council in a public hearing at the December meeting. So you guys should be
Oh, that's
having,
right. We
you're gonna have a public hearing, so planning and zoning, since part of this is a zoning ordinance, a lot of times we will have public hearings here, but it wasn't available in time to
No.
post, so it is gonna be at the city council meeting. Since my intention was to have a draft copy to you in the packet for your review, however, at the time of writing this, the ordinance is still being drafted. A note, this was written on December 5th. My hope is to have a copy early next week that our office can email out to you or at the very least have ready to be provided at the meeting. Due to the laws changing at the beginning of 2025, there is a time constraint and it is important to have these ordinances before council this month. I will also be providing a copy of the ordinances to WSB staff to have for review. If there are amendments that wish to be made later throughout the WSB process, that can be done at that time with all other zoning ordinances. Thank you for your understanding on this matter and appreciate all of your hard work throughout the year. Have a wonderful holiday season. So that was from Jason. So they did come up with the draft. There is public hearing for city council. We won't be having a public hearing on the cannabis. But with that, they have that one in their packet for them to enjoy. So the WSB is our company we're working with to rewrite code. And I do know that they were aware of this as well. So that did come up. They are aware to make sure that does get worked in. And they said there are a number of cities that are all working on ordinances this month, so. That's cannabis, nothing for us to actually take action on. The WSB project update. So we have had the steering committee meeting. I have requested when we have those that also the steering committee meetings get put on the city's public calendar. I know one of the most recent ones did get put out there, but I know there have been a couple others and I don't know if possibly because of staffing issues that only the city staff and the office staff, I think have the ability to post to the website.
Yeah, I think
So I think that's what it is. So I know I'm not able to post those out there. I've been,
Because we were told legally,
yeah, I have requested via email previously that they all get posted out there. But I just know the one for today did get posted, but I don't think the one earlier this week, and I don't see the one out there for next week yet either, so. So I will email on that one as well. Anything else to add on the WSB project? Anything on monthly incoming zoning apps and questions? We don't have Jason here to tell us what may have come into the city. I would just like to add thank you, Colleen, for all of your work and trudging through on all of this big stuff. I appreciate it. And I appreciate differences of opinions and everything else because I prefer to have discussions out there. So just know that I've appreciated that.
yes, thank you for your service, Colleen.
Yes. Sad to see you go.
Yes.
Yeah, I just have to get to.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, if you're
work
working
and-
till 6:15 and then to try and make it by 6:30.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It just gets busy.
but thank you. But you can, still zoom in and join us from time to time.
I can zoom in and be in my pajamas.
There you
I'm in
go.
front of a fire now.
All right.
I move we adjourn.
I will write that down, Colleen.
Give that a big old second.
Adjourn.
Colleen has
Yes.
moved that we adjourn and we've got a second here. Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We're good. Thank you much. I see. I didn't ever
That's just
notice there's
this-
somebody out there in a waiting.
No, that's us,
The Parkers?
Oh, Parkers.
boy.
Yeah.
I don't know
Or
who
it
they
didn't
are.
beep at me. Sure. Get this mouse to move.